think it's unlikely that you'll be asked to just, play everything out in terms of the macro model, but it's a good thing to practice tonight. So we talked about the aggregate supply and aggregate demand model in the short run versus the long run. We'll go over it very quickly, which is that we have price level on the y-axis. So we have a graph of price level on the y-axis, and here we have like sort of output in the economy. Importantly, this price level is not like the price of pizza, or we're used to this being price and quantity. It's kind of like that, but it's now we're looking at like the whole economy. So this is like price level, like overall prices. And then this is like total output in the economy. So we have aggregate demand downward sloping, which then, and you can just think about this for our purposes as when the price levels are lower, people want to buy more stuff. We have aggregate supply. We kind of looked at it like this, and I'll put long run here. In the long run, it's fixed aggregate supply. What does that mean? It means that in the long run, how much output we get as a society is a function not of price. Right? The prices are just like, prices are sort of just reflecting how many dollars the government decided to print. Right? Prices for candy used to be pennies and 5 cents. It doesn't mean that the candy now is hundreds of times better, it's just the price level is different. But what really determining long run output is sort of capital and labor, and there's these fundamental things, not price. So price can go up and down, but really in the long run, the aggregate supply is what it is, as a function of these other things, productivity and real stuff, not just how much money there is and inflation and all that. So that's the assumption in the long run. In the short run, though, aggregate supply may not look like that. Prices might not automatically adjust. So according to this, if I raise aggregate demand by government spending, right, and the government spends more, you'll see something like this. And the prediction here is that price levels will rise, right, when we increase aggregate demand, and nothing will happen to output. No boost to the economy at all. Right? That's the prediction in the long run. But what we're saying here is that actually in the short run, that's not quite what happens. What actually happens in the short run is aggregate supply looks kind of maybe more like this. Maybe upward sloping, but flatter than it is in the long run. So we actually go from here to here. When we pass it, we try to stimulate the economy, we kind of move from here to here. Which means what? Which means that some prices go up, but we do get more output. We do get a stimulative effect for the economy when you increase aggregate demand by, for example, increasing government spending, reducing taxes, by that expansionary fiscal policy. So why doesn't it just automatically adjust? Well, prices don't automatically adjust, right? So this example with Sylvia, I gave you $1 million and then you spent 700,000 of it and so forth, right? So if every store owner in this town was like really clever, they'd all be like, hey, look, she's getting $1 million and eventually we're all going to get more business. Let's just raise our prices in expectation of this policy happening, right? But is that really realistic? Like, do prices adjust immediately? No, some of them might go up. Like gas prices are really easy to change. Grocery store prices are pretty easy to change. They just print out new stickers. So there's different levels of how quickly you can adjust prices. And there's something called menu prices, or like menu costs. It's expensive to print out menus. Sometimes actually raising your prices costs money. Right? Then there's reputational factors that like you don't want to raise the price of your good. Because people expect Coke to cost whatever it costs, right? So you can't just start raising the price, people get pissed, right? So the fact that people get angry about price increases might, in the short run, keep people from jacking up their price in response to expected surges in demand. So for example, if there's a hurricane coming, CVS won't just dramatically jack up the price of batteries. Because if it did, people would hate CVS, right? So they kind of keep the prices the same, they just run out, right? And why are they doing that? That makes no sense. They should raise the prices because they have a reputation to maintain and they want people to like them as a company. So things may keep prices from raising right away, and because of that, you actually get the stimulative effect in the short run. And the logic of that is there's more money sloshing around in everyone's pockets because of the $1 million I gave Sylvia. Put money in everyone's pockets, every store owner here, and prices didn't adjust automatically. So everyone goes out on the town and is like, I have more money in my pockets, and everything costs kind of the same as it did before. Like, I'm rich, I just buy more stuff, right? So it's just this kind of feeling of, yeah, let's buy more stuff. Everyone's store is more full of people, right? And as a result, there is a stimulative effect in the short run, but that disappears in the long run. Yeah.
So that's based on the assumption that output is not at its maximum capacity in the short run?
Yes, yeah, so we actually can have output being beyond its, so there's some amount of like unemployment.
Right.
And that's actually built in. And you can actually have negative unemployment relative to what like the normal level is, which is sort of an odd thing to think about, but like in the 90s, for example, like when there was like a boom period, people were being trained in things that they weren't experts in, and companies were pouring money into training people in things that they didn't have skills in. Because they just needed people to make stuff because there was so much demand. So you can actually have unemployment unnaturally low, right? Which seems odd that you would say that, you know, it should be like full employment is like when everyone has a job. That's not actually full employment. You can actually have more than full employment. Full employment actually has, there's some unemployment involved, like by the nature of things. And people estimate about 6 to 7% unemployment is kind of like normal, 5 to 7, somewhere in there. People have different opinions. But you can actually go beyond that and have like 3% unemployment. And you're just like, this economy is like just, it's everything, you know, it's so hot right now, right? So that's kind of one way to think about it, is that you can actually go in the other direction, like beyond, and then you kind of bounce back and forth. And sometimes you want like fiscal policy that actually makes the economy smaller, right? So the government does sometimes raise taxes and lower government spending, and that's kind of, because they're like, it's getting too crazy. People are being trained like in things that they don't know how to, like we need to actually shrink the economy a little bit, or else we're going to get inflation, things are going to get out of control. Prices are going to start spiraling upwards. There's always this push and pull between like inflation and, you know, and output.
So in a recession,